Radio. Hello, Mr. Pigeon. Sound Art Radio. I would like to just get this over with, so it isn't sort of swilling around in my system for the entirety of the program. This is a message for me, Mama. Mama. I want to say, Mama, stop sending me books by Rumi. I already have Rumi's work. I read and absorbed it many, many years ago. Might I suggest that you do the same? Because I suspect you haven't read Rumi's work, because if you had, and you had soaked it in a little, then that would be reflected in your behaviour. So if you are going to send me books, might I recommend you read them first? Okay, so now we've got that out of our system. This is the wonderful Sound Art Radio, the finest radio station in the world, where literally anything can happen. There is no other radio station where literally anything can happen.
Except
but this
swearing.
is the place. Oh yeah, except swear.
Don't swear.
We can't swear because of offcom. Oh, actually, but you can swear in context. So you can.
Not like concrete poetry sort of. Well, actually, no, that was all in context. What's context?
That's well in context. Well.
But like the equivalent with swearing.
Well,
like,
for example.
So it can't be like
if
the
you tune
wrong word.
No,
or
but
it's completely
got
abstract.
It's got to not be just wild, flagrant swearing.
So the way that everybody swears now, which isn't very creative.
Netflix swearing
it's
is
dreadful.
terrible. Netflix swearing is like this. This is what they do.
But you can substitute any other word. So let's use the word pla. And then, but that immediately becomes a swear word.
Pla?
Yeah, pla. That's the new swear word we're using as an example.
Well, so on Netflix, they'd say, hey, I'm just gonna go to the plying shop and plying buy some plying jelly beans, and then I'm gonna walk down the plying street, and then I'm gonna get back to my plying front door.
Plang. Yeah, plang could be a good...
Plang. Yeah, that's well planned. So that's Netflix swearing. But no, on radio, like for example, now on UK radio, it's much more liberal, shall we say, than like American radio where you can't swear at all.
You mean like liberal or neoliberal?
Oh, not neoliberal, but more. It's a little more open. Well, it is neoliberal. It's a little more open. So, for example, I've been shocked to the core sometimes when I turn on Radio 4, which is not very often, but I used to. And so this was years ago. But on those afternoon plays, you would sometimes hear swear words.
Swears.
You would hear the swear word that starts with SH. I heard the F word in an afternoon play on Radio 4. So it's all about the context. And I guess what that means is that highbrow swearing is allowed.
Right, but then it depends on your conception of swear words.
And your conception of highbrow.
Because for me, like most things that people say are swear words, I don't really find particularly offensive, but then I do find words like economically inactive really offensive.
Yeah.
Or like, I can't think of any other ones. App.
Yeah. I find very, very offensive.
Yeah, selfie.
Oh.
It just makes me...
Yeah.
Like, I get a visceral reaction to these, so I'm not really sure why people have got a problem with swear words, because they're much less offensive than...
Yeah, and they're also great. Swear words are great. Swear words are a very evocative and, I almost swore in my description then, percussive, expressive part of language. And, the word selfie, which we're using everywhere, goes back, I don't know, 10 years or something.
Do you know that there was another
the word fart, which we're allowed to say, but along with many other fecal-based swear words, go back to Chaucer and way back.
So
we illegalised parts of our language.
Right to use the words that go back to Chaucer than to have words like selfie inflicted on you, which is riddled with ideology. And there was somebody told me about, here's another word of the year, and it was the word felfie, which was a farmer taking a selfie. remember in 2014 somebody told me that. Obviously, it's not
So
a real
you-
word,
but
people trying
you
to
can put
start
the
little
letter-
twee bits of language.
But you can
trying
put
to-
the letter of anybody's job
I don't
before
know,
the
I
word
think it's just
Elfie, and
everybody's
then okay.
kind of in
so
love with the whole concept of taking photos.
so
of
a
themselves.
waiter taking a picture
I
of
think it was just the
themselves
farmer
would be
one.
a wealthy, and a dentist taking a picture of himself would be a Delphi, like an oracle.
Yeah.
And what other jobs are there? A mechanic would be a Melfi. What are the? Tell me some more jobs. Tell me some more jobs. Engineer. Eelfie.
I'm not economically involved enough or active.
Are you not economically active?
No. So I have no. I'm not allowed an opinion on anything because I didn't realise that was as well as having to be earning vast sums of money for which I didn't used to have to earn vast sums of money, but now that you're expected to earn $3,000 a month each or whatever, which I'm just never going to be able to do. That since I've been kind of doing any sort of charity stuff, if I'm overdrawn, as long as there's, even though it's not my own money and I'm like donating it, the bank prefers the fact that it turns around. So they're nicer to me when I'm, even though I haven't got more money, if I'm like constantly losing and gaining and then losing, getting into debt.
Yeah. They like that.
Not debt, they like that.
So in fact, you are economically active.
But then when you're not, that's a bad thing.
That makes
you're
you
supposed to be buying as well to be a good little citizen.
I didn't know you were such a good citizen, Lottie.
I'm not at the moment.
I thought you were a bad citizen. I'm a bad citizen. But do you know why I'm a bad citizen? Because this is not an exaggeration to say anymore, and it's not conspiracy theory. We live in fascism. A global fascism, and it's not like a new thing. We have for our entire lives the whole fact that the global north exploits the global south, which most of whom live without running water, to live this sort of weird techno-vapid lifestyle,
narcissistic existence.
Well, how is that not fascism? I mean, like. But the difference with what's happened in Palestine is they've really put it into the foreground. They can't hide it, and they don't seem to want to hide it because it seems to be enough to just say, something totally different to reality has happened, and now we live for the first time in the 21st century, and the second time in history, we live in post-Holocaust time, and anyone who hasn't been shouting about this for the last 2 years is frankly A, insane, and B, don't you realise you've been the people in Nazi Germany who just sat there and let it happen? You know, that's what you are. Deal with that. And I'm talking to you, Damon Albarn, about that, because that's what you are. And now Brian Eno, who, to be fair, Brian Eno has been talking about this the whole time. But none of the other pop stars who are playing Brian Eno's Palestine Wembley fundraiser and the timing when most of the population there is at stage 5 famine is very, very interesting, isn't it? Look up what stage 5 famine means.
You didn't seem to have much of a sense of urgency for the last 2 years to have, maybe I should do something about it now. And I think Damon Albarn was saying, he said something like, thank you for this opportunity to help the Palestinian people. It's like, well, yeah, there's been
the last 2 years of your life, every celebrity
to do it. You could have done anything.
Yeah, particularly Damon Albarn. And the reason I've got a particular problem with Damon Albarn is he's one of these people who literally thinks that it doesn't look colonial to have your picture taken in your little baggy jeans next to a bunch of genius, like Congolese musicians, holding your little tiny melodica in your hand, and you only bother to brush your hair, you know? This guy is a dreadful
guy. It's
guy.
Fetishism.
Yeah, and the fact that he publicly attacked Bob Vylan for their performance
and accused him. I mean, like, we're not allowed to say anything other than neutral, are we? But he accused the guy of, like, the testosterone. I think he said something like, I've been in that situation before, the testosterone is rearing up. And it's like, well, no, you're talking about people responding to a Holocaust.
That's not a matter of testosterone, Damon Albarn. You and Stuart Semple, both in my bad books, arch enemies. You don't know it yet, but it's coming.
I'm not gonna... this is a Holocaust, and I'm not going to say it. I just, like, literally, I don't really know what to say at this point, really, about it.
No, I don't know what to say about it.
And the fact that me saying that is probably considered by Keir Starmer as being a radical position.
Yeah.
Of, like, the fact that anyone... I mean, the audacity of asking the population to be okay with this is just insane.
And the...
like, what, you're like, seriously saying that I should not be utterly disgusted...
Yeah.
by murdering vast swathes of people.
No, not just murdering, but torturing
slowly. Lots of babies.
While Damon Albarn has sat at home playing his melodica over presumably recordings he made of people who are now starving in Sudan.
Yeah, to be fair, he's probably just listening to Oasis and weeping, isn't he? Or
sat in total silence vis-a-vis what's happening in the world. And I'm using Damon Albarn as an example, but this refers to every single person who is playing at Brian Eno's concert, except Brian Eno.
Brian Eno is, and the fact is, like, I was thinking about this, and I was sort of thinking, it'd be nice if sort of Bob Geldof could have done something, but the fact is, Bob Geldof is old, and he's one person, and I'm not saying that and he has started saying stuff now.
Bob Geldof would have been sat the last 2 years going, like, is someone going to do this?
Yeah. So he's actually now gotten to the point where he's gone, okay, well, I guess I'm going to start shouting about it then, and I just, like, where's everyone else? Where's all the young people?
Yeah.
Interesting that at the protest the other day, most of the people that they arrested were actually, like, over 60.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, I'm going to just... I wonder if I can actually get into trouble for passing any opinion on vast swathes of murder.
Yeah,
apparently, yes. Apparently,
we need to communicate more with like the young people.
Yeah, where
I
are
hope
they?
there are some young people listening to this. We're not young. Well, Lottie's young. I'm not young. I'm well on my way to 50. I don't look it because I exude glamour, but I am. And we've spent the last 2 years shouting about this, raising money online. We've been like smeared in international publications and like cut from reviews of work that we've done.
But to be fair, I think that... Sorry, I'll just... sorry, actually, Karen, I'll say afterwards.
And watching now people coming out of the woodwork going, basically wringing their hands, it's comical actually. Yeah. And all of these people with all this power, we've created this culture of cult of personality around all these people who live behind this magical golden wall.
Weird ivory tower.
Yeah, so you can't communicate with anyone.
And it's not even just like, you know...
Famous!
It's not just like...
I'm famous!
Like, it's not just
it's
famous
nonsense.
People. It's every single publication, every single local publication, like
you cannot
the
contact.
Isle of Wight County Press.
You can't
like,
submit.
you know, everybody thinks that they are better than what they are, like
Yeah.
because of this social media main character syndrome thing, and everybody's just looking at themselves. Yeah. And I just don't understand where the society is. And meanwhile, I mean, functionally, it's very like the Matrix, isn't it? That you've got this shiny front stage thing where everyone's in an amniotic sack of constant sucking from the internet. Yeah. And then the backstage is like people being murdered, people working in sweatshops, the abattoir, like the mines, the North Pacific trash vortex and stuff like that.
So my point was, why, when we look at the footage of the protest, when we look at the Palestine vigil that happens locally, why is it all people over 50 or over 60, people in their 70s and 80s, fighting against this? There are times in history... there was an intertitle in our movie The Madonna of Bedminster. What do you do when the lawmakers break the law? And here we are immensely...
being told they're breaking international law?
Yeah. And it's only old people responding to this. Like young people, what are you doing? Why aren't you all out making noise? And I will tell you why. Because you're obsessed with celebrities, you're dyeing your hair blue or getting little man bobs, which you think make you sort of like a minority group or something, but it doesn't. It just means you've got a haircut. To actually like be a sort of radical alternative person, you also have to live that lifestyle.
Yeah, I spent the last...
In fact, reject lifestyle, just live life. A haircut won't cut it.
For the last several years...
It is down to you guys, because I'm too old, it's down to you guys to change this system which is now breaking international law. And you're not going to do that just by dyeing your hair and posting on the internet.
Yeah,
think
the
creatively.
posting on the internet needs to not be the main thing. And I don't know.
There are other ways of distributing information.
It seems that...
we always did them. The internet hasn't been around very long.
Most people that I used to know are sort of pretty obsessed with comedy, sort of like everybody trying to become a celebrity. It's kind of like millennials. I mean, I just hate using these words anyway, but like millennials down up until sort of the much younger generation who are sort of under 10 now. But everybody who's used a phone is just totally self-absorbed and narcissistic. And I've spent the last several years, you know, even during the pandemic, when like, you know, the whole structure of our society got completely uprooted. I mean, I personally preferred it, because, you know, animals actually started coming out of
Dolphins
hiding.
in Venice.
Animals started coming out of hiding and going, you could see all the deer coming out and going, oh God, is it actually over? Have they stopped doing it? And like all the other residents of the earth were actually allowed a little breather when you all stopped going on holiday. But still, during all these like societal collapses, the main structure of the conversation is, oh, what's Taylor Swift doing? Oh, millennials have got side partings. Gen Z have got centre partings. Oh, what do you think of flares? Oh, I like your baby grow. Oh, look at your bucket hat. I mean, it's pathetic, isn't it? It's like pathetic, and like everything's on fire, and all these young people are claiming, like the young people, whatever, like all the supposedly like super woke lot are claiming that they're all into ethics and stuff, and they are so into consumption. They are such consumers. It's just consumption. It's like, I'm sorry, how can you claim when you're like feeding this system that kills people constantly?
A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel cutting off water. So I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off water. So I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. So I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. So I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. So I does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. So I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. So I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. So I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. So I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. So I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. Does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. I think that Israel a siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. Does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. Does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate. Cutting off power, cutting off water. Does have that right. It does have that why it is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate, cutting off power, cutting off water, so I think that Israel does have that why it is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate, cutting off power, cutting off water, so I think that Israel does have that why it is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate, cutting off power, cutting off water, so I think that Israel does have that why it is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate, cutting off power, cutting off water, so I think that Israel does have that why it is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate, cutting off power, cutting off water, so I think that Israel does have that why it is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate, cutting off power, cutting off water, so I think that Israel does have that why it is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate, cutting off power, cutting off water, so I think that Israel does have that why it is an ongoing situation. A siege is appropriate, cutting off power, cutting off water, so I think that Israel does have that why it is an ongoing situation.
Okay, so Lottie
Well,
wants to further extrapolate.
Battery problems. Well, it's not really an apology. No, I don't mean all young people. I just mean I
didn't say apology. I said extrapolate.
No, you said it before recording. Yeah. Basically, if anyone has an issue with what I'm saying, then that means you're probably doing it. But I went to pity me. I went to Bristol University for a semester and had to run away screaming because I really couldn't handle it. The student body there, which mostly consisted of the sort of people I'm talking about.
With dungarees,
the wealthy, the kind of
the wealthy bourgeois. And
the sorts of people
bourgeois
who,
isn't a matter of wealth. Bourgeois is an attitude and it's a way of life.
Because, there's plenty of people who are rich who do loads to help other people with their money. We know a person who's been a millionaire a few times and has given all of his money away, and then in kind of creative ways to help poor people or help other artists or help kind of refugees and
also just for the reason of playing with the idea of economy.
The art form, and with the idea to try and point out that all of this stuff is deeply toxic and sidelines and
weirdly arbitrary.
So, but so that it's not the being rich; it's the what you do with it. It's the whether or not you hoard it, whether or not you spend it on buying lots of things on Amazon and then tipping it directly into landfill.
Yeah.
Not all young people, obviously, but a particular faction of this society that I've observed. I obviously can't speak on behalf of other countries at all, but where I am in England, it appears very much like a lot of people.
Yes.
A lot of people who sort of walk around saying that they're kind of doing all this activism, and
they're not.
They're not doing anything.
Going on the internet isn't enough.
Talking about
it doesn't really do anything.
Sort of thing that a celebrity said that's transphobic, i.e., when it's actually what we should be doing is boycotting celebrity.
Yeah.
Not going, this person said something problematic. Completely.
Disregard the whole idea.
Unfollowing it, not ploughing any money.
Don't have it in your life.
The thing that I noticed
is silly.
That was quite useful about.
It's childish, in fact.
At the beginning of. There was some sort of talking about kind of blocking celebrities who weren't kind of anti-war death machine, and then they lost revenue, and then it actually affected stuff. So, so what I don't understand is a lot of people have a problem with J.K. Rowling, rightly so. She's a horrible person, and has also made the entire, as well as being bigoted, has made the entire culture or like of literature, of storytelling. Everything has the capsule of Harry Potter's chosen godchild. It's like it's kind of a very narcissistic story capsule where it's like the chosen kid, and then everyone else is obsessed with this child, and then all other culture seems to follow this pattern. So my proposal is, instead of talking about her all the time and engaging with her, just block her.
Yeah.
She will lose money. She makes money every time anyone talks about her.
But also at the same time, just stop using the social networks. It makes money from Mark
making money from Mark Zuckerberg. All of this stuff is like...
Go outside and stay inside and read books.
Yeah, read books, make things.
Draw.
There's a lot of conversations where people really hate each other now based on they're using the internet in different ways. Yeah. And not even getting to the point of like actual kind of ideologies on like actual competing political ideologies. There are new ideologies that people have created based on how you're using Twitter, and it's just... or Instagram.
I think almost more than anything...
It just doesn't matter. We've got to actually, like, save the world.
Yeah, almost more than anything, what's plaffed up our culture is this idea... call back there. Yeah. This idea that to be successful and to contribute to society as an artist, you have to be talking to an audience of like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people. And it took me a long time to be able to disregard that completely and to realise, no, actually the thing I want to do as an artist is communicate to 20 people, 50 people, 100 people,
but
200
over
people.
and over again.
Over and over again, yeah. Go to places and bring things. And the thing is, now, everybody has been told that the only way you're going to be successful as an artist is if you go through the art world, as a musician, if you go through the music industry, etc., etc., etc.
Run by people who aren't artists and aren't musicians.
But this is a myth. This is not how you become successful. You know, because if you think about the actual reality of it, all of these different strands of organisation are literally, and now more than ever, the guy at Spotify just bought a massive military company. They are the military-industrial complex. So, and when you take your art to some gallery that's run by, you know, those people, they've always got like black bobs and like they wear black arts admin outfits, and roll necks, and they've gone and done an arts admin degree, and that's why they've got that job. They're not artists, and they make the judgment over whether your work is going to be one of the chosen few to go into their gallery. And all of these organizations are so far contortionist style, head inserted into own and each other's bottoms, that none of these organizations, none of these systems have any relevance to people who want to actually create art as part of the great fabric, human patchwork of art that's gone on since we first made lines in the sand. There is a difference between all art and music and literature than there is to what I would now describe as neoliberal art, music and literature. Is a Nadine Dorris novel art? No, it's a novel. It's a novel, so to an extent, of course, on some level, it's art. And like Dan Brown and all of this stuff, which is kind of created to plug sort of like, in the case of Dan Brown, like gullibilities in the market. In the case of Nadine Dorris, I have no idea, but people buy them. When all of this started to happen, this became like the beginning of the great stupidity. And we're at a point now where it is necessary for all artists to reject completely the idea of being on Spotify, of being in Whitechapel Gallery or the Tate Modern, and make exhibitions and shows yourself. And the point of doing the shows is not so you'll get famous one day. The point of doing the shows is to do the goddamn show.
Yeah, that person who said that SoundCloud was for people who couldn't get on Spotify.
Yes.
That sort of thing. And then the Spotify guy is obviously like involved with the military now. And it was sort of like, hang on a minute. And then I was thinking the other day, like when I was younger and I was playing punk bands a lot, like there was a very active scene for this kind of like ska music with hardcore and then like hardcore bands and stuff. And there was this band called Capdown who were great, really good punk band with I think it was a sax player, but it was like a hardcore band, and everyone was really into them. They were super famous in this country, and it was all around this like record label called Household Name Records, and there were all these great punk bands with like with horn sections playing. And it was massive, and then occasionally there would be like an article in Kerrang or something, or NME, and everyone would be like, "Oh look, the mainstream have written an article about one of us." But there were, you know, thousands and thousands of people involved in this scene, and none of it ever really got into, you know, maybe the punk show on Radio 1 started and then finished after a while. Maybe it got on that, but we didn't need any mainstream stuff. It was all like fanzines and blogs and stuff like that.
And why? And that can just come back, and it's really cool, kids, because the stuff you put in your little magazines that you can print at home and distribute from your home and distribute physically, the stuff you put in that is not going to be vetted by moderators. You can write what you want. People are saying we don't have free speech, but actually get off the internet. You got free speech. Make free publications. Put them everywhere.
To the internet.
The point now is communication, and the internet has made communication impossible because we have all, not me, but all of you, or most of you, have accepted censorship. And censorship is against everything we should stand for, and that doesn't mean that that we should have disgusting illegal images on the internet. Like when Elon Musk first took over Twitter, I saw abominations for a couple of days.
And just murders and stuff.
People being shot in the head and so on.
I stopped using Twitter.
And that's not censorship. Like, the point is, we as human beings, like, before the Hays Code in, like, 1933, there was no censorship anywhere ever. Human beings did not want to make... You know,
violent
Shakespeare didn't write torture porn. Exactly. There are violent things happen in Shakespeare. Titus Andronicus is a pretty hairy play. Eyes get put out with heels in that. But it's framed by
assault, violent imagery,
thousands and thousands of ideas. Yes,
unbelievable.
A constant barrage of violent imagery.
Why
and people are so
okay with it.
And people are so desensitized to violence that
you'll allow a Holocaust.
Yes, that. But also people's response to videos of people accidentally getting shot in the head on Twitter is like, oh God, that's funny. Like, people respond to it like they're watching You've Been Framed with Jeremy Beadle.
But you're talking about somebody being plucked out of infinity, about their tiny little blink of existence, and then it's gone.
But all of our
people laugh at it,
existences
and
are.
I don't know. It's just like the whole culture makes it extremely okay to think of all life as totally disposable.
Yes, exactly.
And I think maybe it's all kind of being encouraged so that we destroy this astral body that we live on.
It's very important to say,
a planet.
Anybody who's been impartial about what has happened, the unbelievable Holocaust that has been inflicted on the Palestinian people, well, you've been sat there very quietly. But you are in a much closer position to the Palestinian people than a billionaire is. Than you being a billionaire.
Yeah, you are.
But B, if the lives of those human beings are disposable, how do you know yours is safe?
Yours is
How do you know you might not be next?
We're all disposable.
Yes.
We're all disposable. I read, reading articles about disabled people who've had their benefits cut and then they find their bodies petrified in their flats and no one's checked on them. That's happened many times. Many times I've read, and it's happened to me, dealing with the medical establishment, dismissing you as hysterical or, oh, you're a woman, so you're making it up. And then later on, people finding out they've got stage 3 cancer and dying. And that's entirely because people are considered disposable. Like, just even in people's behaviours, like for being ostracised from social groups and family groups and everything, when it's kind of like, as far as I'm concerned, I keep getting sort of what I think is basically just bullying, really, of people just being horrible to me. And my thinking is kind of like, well, I don't mean in a religious way, but functionally we look like we're kind of in an apocalypse. If 70% of the biosphere's gone, there's a Holocaust, there's a genocide in Sudan, there's genocide in Congo, there's entire swathes of the planet that have been dug up for consumer devices. All animals are considered disposable. Children are apparently considered disposable now. I can't remember what my point was. My point is, what was the point?
I don't know,
just the fact that I don't know. Just all of it is interlinked, and it seems that it's like people have delved into this kind of, I wouldn't say nihilistic, because that's not what nihilism means, but sort of like a kind of active sociopathy to just like burn everything. It's like, if you can't have it, if I can't have it, no one can. On a planetary scale.
I would just like to add to that, in terms of destruction. We're always told that such and such is the enemy, and as a country, and they pick a different one as convenient. We will recall that Boris Johnson, as Mayor of London, was a big fan of Russia, and now we're told that Russia is the enemy, and so on, and that all of these other countries are really, really dangerous. That North Korea are going to kill us all, etc., etc.
No, don't you remember that there was a period a few years ago, 2017 maybe, where for a little while it looked like there was going to be a war with North Korea, and there's been a few other things where it looked like there was going to be a war, and then everyone forgets about it, and you spend a few weeks thinking, oh my god, I'm going.
I think in actual tangible reality, North Korea have never threatened a war with the West, because North Korea knows it will get obliterated instantly by the West, and South Korea, backed by the West.
Well, usually people hate their neighbours.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is that we receive from, I'm kind of think it wasn't like this when I was young. But the news media is now, I sound like one of these crazy right-wing conspiracy theorists, but the last 2 years shows us this is completely true. The news media and the whole fun thing is a propaganda machine that feeds us what to believe, and jingoism has become the norm, and like saber rattling has become the norm, and I didn't choose this. I didn't accept to live in this society. No. This is absolute nonsense.
When I was a kid.
No, and if you look at history, and yes, post-truth ages, history does exist, but what you got to do is read it in books and not online, mama. If you look at history, statistically, and yes, statistics are real. That is why they are statistics. If they were made up, they would be in fiction books. Statistics are real because somebody has recorded them, Father. Okay, and so if we actually look at the statistics, nobody has caused more destruction over the 21st century than the UK and America. That's just a fact. So then you go slightly further back in time, and we have the atrocities of World War II, the atrocities of Hitler, the atrocities of Stalin, and the many atrocities from the 1970s onwards. And then we keep casting the net further back, looking at, we go right back. I believe Genghis Khan killed 8 million people across the world over time with sabers. But
Belgium in Africa.
Belgium in Africa. Yeah, but we are told that us good white Europeans are the noble spirits of this world. But the white Europeans went to the Far East, to a place called America, which, yes, is in the Far East, because otherwise you're making the Far West the point of the Far East, where there's then a giant body of water. It's fictional. So they went to the Far East, and did you know, I did not know until recently, in America they killed 70 million human beings, the white Europeans. And that is an astonishing statistic to me. And of course the famous image of a man standing on a high-rise tower-size pile of some particular type of, I think, bison bones, and a guy with his cowboy hat on the top of it. And the white Europeans killed and literally extincted those animals, so the people who lived at the place originally had nothing to eat and all starved to death. Winston Churchill starved 3 million people in India to death with the Bengal famine. It seems to me that white Europe is the crux.
And of course Britain with Ireland.
Yeah, and Britain starving Ireland. So it would seem to me that white Europe, including Britain, is and America, which is white Europe as a colonial power, is responsible for the vast majority of death and destruction over the last few hundred years. So how we've managed to frame ourselves as the goodies in this scenario is like absolutely beyond me.
If you celebrated every single celebration of independence from Britain Day in the world,
would it be every year?
You'd do pretty much every single day of the year.
Well, there's an excuse to have a party.
Well, I was going to do it.
I want to be independent from Britain.
I wanted to celebrate every single one.
I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I've always felt like I'm a citizen of the world, but if you say things like that, like Charlie Chaplin, who declared to the McCarthyist inquiry that he was a citizen of the world, was thrown out of America for it. And America and the UK, we still exist with this myth that America represents the values that you see in Frank Capra movies. It's a Wonderful Life, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Meet John Doe, where it is about charity, giving, equality, love. And what is basically expressed in Frank Capra movies is Marxism. And of course there was suspicion about Capra being one of those filthy communists when McCarthyism was going on, but Capra hadn't been making movies for a while. But America still, you know, if you think what is the center of American culture, Christmas! And Christmas is where America frames itself as this thing of we all put on our woolly jumpers and we sit by the fire with the family. But that's part of Christmas.
Well, no, Thanksgiving's the whole.
But it's part of the same.
Colonial.
But it's all part of the same thing. And the family and all that sort of thing. And when you see that image of the good American family at Christmas sitting by the Christmas tree with their turkey on the table, in the back room a pile of dead bison and black people, you know, and that's the foundation on which our entire culture is built.
I looked up the amount of independence from Britain days. It's 48 or something.
48.
So it's a good portion of the year.
You can have 48
couple of months.
parties.
It's just nearly 2 months. What was I going to say? When we went to America, didn't we?
We did
to do a job.
The first time we went to America, we had to do a day trip.
Oh my god!
Which was
because no one will hire me in this country.
Yeah, which was
and
no
it's
good.
Probably the thing that I'm the most ashamed about. But you know, I don't get any other work, so like, but we had to go and do this thing to make this film and film all this material, and I just was shocked at how racist it is.
Well, the first thing we saw when we got off the plane in Cleveland was a young black boy shining a big fat white businessman's shoes.
That's the thing. I would never do that.
I don't want to be in that
society. It's a bit of a weighted metaphor, isn't it? Not metaphor. It's a bit of a weighted gesture. I mean, it's just, why do you even have that anyway? Why is there still shoe shining?
Yeah.
Do it yourself.
It's all
about servitude and blah blah blah, and just like making other people do things. And then we were walking around, and it was like every single position of like just sort of like the racism is like it's cropped up out of the ground. Like the whole thing is like new and shiny buildings, and like. And it's like, it's been designed so... I don't know, it just felt like being in a video game where the objective is to be really racist.
Yeah, life isn't a video game.
And like pump all of the oil out of the Middle East into a Texas oil refinery.
Game. And this seems to be something that now needs to be explained, not just to young people, but also, these guys in their 50s who while away and waste their lives playing video games where they shoot people.
It's just like,
someone needs to say to these people that it really sucks to do that, and that life is not that. Like your stupid simulation theory idea. Do you know that when the medieval world discovered clockwork, people decided the universe was clockwork? Your simulation theory idea is just we take how far we've got in our now just stupid technologies. These are not useful technologies. We take that and we think, that must be what the universe is made of. But the same way the universe is not made of a clock, the universe is also not a video game. It's far more interesting than a video game. And everybody using these computer terms to define the universe. And I've heard people using computer terms to define conversation. We were interfacing with one another. You're not interfacing, you're talking. The word talking has always done the trick. Conversation.
Did you do any networking when you were there?
Doing the job.
Yeah, my whole job is networking.
Going and doing the job implies that you've already done the networking. Oh, God! I don't know, this whole like the simulation thing and everything, it's sort of like people using phone language. It's like, well, you see everything upside down and then your brain flips it over anyway. So it is a simulation. Like,
but
no, I mean that is
it's not. Your perception
look like what it looks like.
Yeah, but your perception doesn't make reality a simulation.
No,
it just means that's how you see it.
Yeah,
insects see the world completely differently to us. Are they in a different simulation?
They got, everybody's got a different.
It's just
sort of
silly.
Relative.
We're not in a simulation. We're in an infinite universe.
But the thing that worries me about it is, I remember Elon Musk, talking about that. And how old was he when he was saying that? In his 30s.
I don't know, but he's one of the dumbest people on the planet.
It's like very basic philosophy concepts. That like, what if are these people? They seriously have never heard of like, I think, therefore I am.
No.
Are we really that sort of devoid of like information from books?
But everything in culture.
People haven't heard of these basic things.
No,
like
but everything in culture is dumbed down to the point that if there is a documentary made about something that is a subject I find interesting, I'm probably not going to watch that documentary, because whenever there's a documentary on a subject that you find interesting, the documentary form used to be this probing thing where you would discover insight.
But now you have to have the story before.
But what a documentary does now is it gives you a basic overview of the subject, and that's not what it's for. People are supposed to be intelligent enough to already have the basic overview of the subject, or if they're going to see the documentary about the subject, you presume they know the basics.
When I went to,
otherwise, read the Wikipedia page if you want to know the basics. When
I went to university very briefly recently, I had to make a podcast. That's how they're assessing things.
Oh, don't say that word.
And they told me that my podcast about like the subject was like, is there any what if any value is there to Western classical music? And I'm like, wow, okay, this is not at all weighted beforehand, and so I was quite angry about the tone of the question, and then my feedback was that it was confusing for a general audience. Well, why? Well, because I didn't sort of hold their hand and go, how does music make you feel? It was like, what are we all... You know, this is how you talk to 6-year-olds.
Yeah,
so But this is how you talk to 5 or 6-year-olds on the first day of talking to them about music. You don't keep talking to them about that. And this whole dumbing down everything, sort of music kind of education now is entirely kind of this stupid outreach thing where the person doing the outreach gets loads of funding but doesn't actually convey any information. And doing this thing of making everyone being like, oh, you have to dumb music down to attract a general audience. But I don't know, like Mozart was like 4 when he started doing his thing. Like Martineau was a poor guy, and he this whole idea that, I mean, it's just really classist, isn't it? It's saying that poor people are stupid. Yeah. And I really object to it because it was really offensive. When in the past, if you wanted to get kids into music, you'd just give them piano lessons when they're 4. That's what they do in other countries. That's the Russian music education system. Well, I think, or it was. I don't know if it's still. And like China, they do that. They actually they take it seriously and they get kids started on music really young. But they don't go, how does this make you feel? Do they? In this really patronising, classist.
No. Our culture's gone completely dumb, and this is my other advice to the kids who are gonna now start making art. For the hell of it, and also because it's this powerful thing that we all have the capability of doing, and start making art and putting it on in your own places and things like that. But what were you talking about? Because it connected.
Just sort of funding models with outreach that is really classist, and the entire society is sort of like assuming everyone's stupid.
That's what I was going to say.
Which is really offensive.
Is that as an artists, do not dumb down what you do. Presume intelligence of the audience, because if you don't do that, we end up with a culture where nobody knows anything at all, which seems to be where we are.
Wants to hear, which means that you're not authentically concentrating on anything like ethics or anything like that. If you're constantly going, oh, is this going to be too much? So all I hear is people talking about free speech, but actually, everybody does not have free speech because they're not actually talking freely. They're using a bunch of kind of ideological signifiers and fetishistic points that the general sort of population has come up with on the internet, which doesn't really... It's more like no free thought, really. Yeah. Like...
Well, the bell's going for midday. I suppose we'd better send this show winging its way over the internet to Christopher in the Sound Art Studio.
Anyway, I know I sound like one of those weird people on the internet, and I think at points during this I've gone like in space, but I don't know. It's an emergency. Everybody needs to. Let's die in a fiery ball, and let's not have just constant murder of lots of people. I don't know how to point out that murder is bad.
It seems that we have to
anything, and that completely obliterating all life on a big swathes of the planet, i.e., where there's an active genocide that is
let's call it what it is, a Holocaust,
and also the whole it's all just let's just try and not kill.
Do what you can. Let's say before we go that Sammy Madoon's Oud Music from Gaza, which you've heard on this show many times, is now available, Volume 1, as a luxury cassette, which you can get at Ergo Phizmiz.bandcamp.com. First run sold out, second run is here now, ready to be all made up, so we'll be on that momentarily. We heard music by Stockhausen, direct from Sirius, and we heard music by Penderecki. And we heard lots of weird shortwave, hopefully alien radio transmissions. And we heard my favourite band, the North Korean moranbong band, who are the North Korean all-girl band, and they're all specifically chosen by the great leader. They're all mature women. in their 40s. They all dress extremely well, and the North Korean moranbong group, they want their music to reach a wider audience.
But they've written on
their YouTube comments. They want their music to spread.
Trouble, but we don't want to get them into trouble. But they've been saying.
And anyway,
they want their music to spread, but they understand that maybe singing entirely about Little Father might not be interesting for an external audience.
But yeah,
but they've acknowledged this.
Yeah.
But they are very good musicians.
They're brilliant musicians. But you saying that, like worried about saying it, that implies that you think that great leader might be tuned in. Do you think he's tuned in? I don't think he is. I think he's devising new fiendish ways of murder and torture.
I heard that his father was pretty on the pulse when it came to
the latest in dance music.
To cinema, and he was aware of there was that film that what's his name, he was involved in, Seth. Not the main Seth in Family Guy, the other bloke.
Seth Green. Seth Green, who's in Buffy and the X-Files.
The other guy, he's in Broad City. Seth Rogen?
Maybe.
Yeah, he kind of speaks like... He has that kind of voice, he's got like a low voice. Well, he made a film about going to North Korea and trying to get an interview. I can't remember. But anyway, the bloke watched it, and the South Park thing as well. They made... the thing, Team America, and they made the North Korea one, and the bloke was aware of it. So it's a strange world we live in.
It is a strange world we live in. My advice to Keir Starmer is, if you're gonna be as dictatorial and wild as you're being, then you need a more dictatorial hairstyle. Look at great leader. What's he got going on there? That is unique and unforgettable. You see that once, you think, I'm going to listen to what that guy says. You're kind of rocking the fat Tony Blair look, and it's not doing it for me. If I'm going to be dictated to, if I'm going to be totalitarianized, and if my ethics are going to be put completely upside down, then at least I want you to think a bit more about what you're wearing, the sort of standard business suit. Like, look at great leader. He wears like these big, like harsh, sort of like severe collars, doesn't he? And sort of tunics. You ever tried a tunic here? But also, it's the hair. What you've got going on there, because you've got this kind of like mottled pink face. The hair, you need to like shave the sides. You need to go more severe. If you want people to worship you as their little father and dictate what they think,
like
you've got to do it with
uncle,
better hair. Yeah, weird uncle. Yeah. So that's my advice to you, Keir. So this has been Sound Art Radio. I have been Dr. Ergo Phizmiz.
I'm Depresstival.
I was trying to think of a creative middle name for myself, but I failed. I didn't want to put Starmer.
I'm just concerned about all of your welfare.
Yeah.
The end.
We love you, kids. Bye, Mom.
I am a child survivor of the Holocaust and activist in the Palestine Solidarity Movement. We all had to wear the yellow star from one particular date on. And I didn't, again, appreciate how awful that was, this kind of othering of people. I obviously became very conscious of it and angry about it as something that must never be repeated. And then I think there's an intermediate step that I was visiting relatives in Israel. I was very shocked in what I found in Israel then. That was pre-67 war, and all prevailing sense of racism, really, and militarism combined. And I found that almost all members of my family, some of whom returned from Auschwitz, one particular cousin, And an aunt who was very heroically part of this rescue operation in Budapest and did very brave things. Nonetheless, they all became racists against what they called Arabs. They didn't say Palestinians, they Arabs. And it shocked me completely and turned me against Israel, basically, and Zionism. Well, I've seen some various attacks on Gaza earlier, which were horrible, you know, the destruction of complete blocks of residential buildings as a kind of, again, it was rhymed with the whole experience of humiliation and injustice. And when the most recent attack on Gaza started, I felt this extremely strongly. I mean, there's a total disproportion. And it is a humiliation of our people. It's atrocities and destruction, more than humiliation, but humiliation is involved. And the way that people are treated when arrested and what's happening in the West Bank, it's continuous humiliation. And I just wonder at how mildly, actually, the Palestinian people are responding, because any Palestinians I met, either in Israel or here, have not been expressing any bitterness. They want liberation and equal treatment, but they're not bitter. I think it's a wonder, really. They're just an extremely noble people, I think. They have their ambitions, and they will not leave their home territory, no matter how they are bombed. And I think that eventually they will prevail. In the United Nations, the Jewish representative, the Israeli, I should say, representative, before starting to speak, very theatrically put on a yellow star. And it completely shocked me. I think that's an unpardonable misuse of the memory of the Holocaust, and I'm totally against it. On an infamous day of 18th of January this year, there was, I think, a predetermined hardening and harshness of police behavior against the demonstrations. It's not proven, but I think most people think that this was an attempt to provoke some serious disturbance by the police acting harshly and then getting a reaction, so as to justify, perhaps, the banning of these marches. I had a very polite letter inviting me at mutually convenient times to talk to the police. And when I arrived, they explained that they were glad I did come, because otherwise they would have dragged me in, arrested me, if I did not respond to that invitation. I do see the value of me being there, because it tends to counter the kind of anti-Semitism, false anti-Semitism arguments that are brought against these protests very often. And also some of the established Jewish church synagogues and the chief rabbi trying to create some fear of danger to Jews and anti-Semitism growing because of these marches, and creating and trying to talk in the name of the entire Jewish community, which is another falsehood, because there isn't a homogeneous Jewish community. There are Jews, a large number or a certain number, who are divided in different views and different opinions. I had somebody come up to us and say, "Shame on you, shame on you." And I asked the guy, "Are you a Zionist?" And he said, "Yes, of course I am." And I said, "Yeah, and do you support a genocide?" And he said, "What genocide?" And I said, "Well, the discussion is terminated." Because people who see what they can see and still do not count themselves against it are not worth talking to, in my opinion. And by the way, Keir Starmer's attitude about it, that only the ultimate word of the relevant courts can make a declaration of genocide or not, suggests that you can never prevent a genocide. Because, as we know, the courts start with saying it's a plausible genocide, and then it goes on for years with evidence and hearings, etc. So you would never be able to actually call out a genocide and intervene and prevent it, which is the point. Just today's news, I read account of 300 died in Gaza for the most intense period of bombing. What is that for? It's not to free hostages. You can't, by bombing, free hostages. Everybody knows that. What is it? It is you're not getting at the Hamas fighters that way. Maybe one and kill 100 with it. It's war crimes, and with the Akrotiri flights and training and diplomatic cover and all kinds of ways, this government is supporting Israel continually, and I think there are no words for it. It's criminal, and individuals and responsible people will answer for it in the long term.
Let me be clear, the situation on the ground in Gaza is intolerable on so many levels, and we make that absolutely clear in all of our exchanges with Israel and with other countries.
First of all, I want to mention that I got to know him personally, because when he sort of changed into political activity after his job as director of public prosecution, he appeared in my constituency, but beyond that, actually in my branch of the constituency, because he lives nearby. He was impressive then. We liked him. I don't like him anymore because right-wing Jewish organization, the Board of Deputies, produced a statement of 10 points about how this is when the false anti-Semitism business started up, that anybody who speaks against Israel or whatever has to be expelled, and anybody who supports a person like that must also be expelled, and all kinds of nonsense, some of which was actually illegal, sort of guilt by association, and it was a horrific document, and a cheek to try and prescribe to an independent Labour Party how it should behave anyway. It should have been ignored. And Keir Starmer signed it. Then I completely disagreed with him and thought, well, how can a lawyer sign a rubbish document like that? What's behind that? And it became fairly clear what was behind it. That he had a right-wing agenda and pretended to be a continuation Corbyn to begin with, to ensure support from the majority Corbyn-supporting Labour Party members at that time. And as soon as he won the leadership, turned violently towards the right and started a factional fight against the left. I mean, whatever he is, he's not stupid. And I think that it was quite clear, a cynical weapon, this anti-Semitism, the only really effective weapon to smash the left movement of Jeremy Corbyn and his supporters.
I really focus on supporting a Labour government, but I'm not afraid to debate and to speak up for what's in the interests of my constituents, whether it's about the planet, whether it's about international situations or domestic situations.
The BBC's attitude throughout this period of the attack on Gaza and so on, completely biased presentation, consistently biased presentation, the way they treat the occasional spokespeople for the Palestinians, and who they do not invite, or all kinds of experts could have been given airtime in a balanced way, and they have not done. And pressure, and they crumble under any Zionist pressure.
이상이 우리 목표다. 용장